Welcome to Rap in Order, the interrogation of a hip hop album, where we take some of the culture's most beloved hip hop albums, put them on the stand, see if they stood the test of time. Now let's see who we got on the stand today.
A few weeks ago, we got Beyonce's new album, and the night beforehand, the track listing, there was a leak because the album was released overseas, and we saw that Beyonce had a collaboration with Kelis.
That's all we thought.
Yeah, we thought. Everybody was excited, and then Khaleesi came onto the airways to let us know she does not fuck with it. She's not okay with it, and she shared her grievances with the Neptunes before, and she also said that she feels that this is theft and Beyonce is fake.
Mm-hmm.
So for me understanding it, I think that personally Beyonce is an innocent bystander. But I really want to get into this Pharrell situation. Like, is Pharrell a bad guy?
No, I don't think Pharrell's a bad guy. I think he gets away with a lot of shit though. He gets away with a lot of shit because he's not as vocal as Kanye, and he's not as seen in the public as Kanye, and he's not as much of a superstar and a draw as Kanye. But actually, no. I walk back everything I just said.
Thank you.
I walk back everything I just said. I think Pharrell is a piece of shit for that.
Thank you.
I was thinking about it as I was talking, and I'm just like, well, no. Like, he should have cleared the air with Kelis, and it sucks because, Beyonce is tangled into it, and I think, like you said, she is an innocent bystander that probably just went to him to buy a beat. Mm-hmm. And then, that shit is layered in the back. And this is all hearsay. Like, I don't know for sure how it went. But I would imagine that she's getting a beat and she's thinking she's getting something from the Neptunes. They slipped that shit in there as far as like her background vocals from Milkshake, where it was sampled, and made it something that it wasn't supposed to be. And it was a great song. I think Beyonce has since removed it, right?
Yeah, she removed it.
And you can't even fucking tell.
Yeah. I always have asked the question, ever since Kelis came out and said this, I was like, what's the difference between Pharrell and Puff? Because Puff is like the poster child. He's like the face of stealing artists' publishing, not doing right by artists. And I think that is more so of things about the music industry that we don't understand, and we think like, why don't you give the artists their masters, or why don't you do this, right? And it's always, why didn't you read the contract? And I'll be honest with you, most people don't read shit. Like, like when we get jobs and stuff like that, there's I worked for Levi's at one point, and there was a clause in Levi's, if you are a designer, anything that you design while working for Levi's belongs to Levi's. Mm-hmm. Now think about that. You work for Levi's and you create like a new kind of jacket, some different kinds of jeans or something like that, right? Like jeans, I don't know, jeans that, don't get stains on, I don't know. That belongs to Levi's, right? So I think that when she went into partnership with the Neptunes, that was the case, but according to Kelis, like, they lied to her. She was told
33.
Yeah, split three ways. And then when she came to Pharrell, like, yo, I'm not making money off of this, off of my first album, Pharrell was like, you should have read the contract. So then, that's when everything kind of like just started being distance for them, and like basically Kelis is fucked. There's nothing that she can do until like, I think like it reverts back to her when she gets to like a certain age. After a certain amount of years, your masters revert back to you. But I think that a lot of these like executives who like have like publishing companies and they sign artists, they have someone want to give artists their music, like shit. In a Drink Champs interview, Irv Gotti told Ja Rule to his face, somebody he calls his brother, says that he loves, I'm not giving you your masters back. Mm-hmm. Like, he said, I'll give you an answer right now. No. Yeah. Like, think about that. Like, and he's sitting there with him, and like, they're good friends. Like, they call each other brothers and everything like that. Like, so I think that there's certain things that are like deeper than what we understand when it comes to that. And I think that like there's certain like, people that feel like, yo, like, I own this, and for good reason, you didn't pay for the studio time. Maybe they feel like, hey, like, I added this word or that word, and like, it's mine, and like, that like this belongs to me and my family. But I do think that Pharrell is a bad guy for that. Because I'm pretty sure that there are other artists that might have similar situations with him. Like, who knows? Like, maybe the Clips have a similar situation, but like maybe like the money that they make, they're not worried about it because maybe their records aren't as sampled as much as Kelis, but Kelis is like very influential, and I'm pretty sure like just for her like being a person like if you follow her on Instagram like like she has a farm and like she raises her own animals and like cooks food for her kids, everything is organic, and she probably just wants the ownership just because like she understands the value of ownership,
and also because it's hers, and then the fact that even to this day, you let Khaleesi tell it, she's the one that wrote all of those records. She's the writer of all those songs.
How did you feel about that? Seeing that, like, like with Pharrell being in the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and she's saying Pharrell couldn't write a hit if he tried.
Ain't that wild? Ain't that crazy? Don't that make you like rethink some things?
It does.
Because for me, yes, I do believe Khaleesi in this instance because this is not something new. She's been complaining about this for years about like, but it's kind of just falling on deaf ears because we all like Pharrell and it's a nostalgic thing to it. But then you got to really think about it and think about like what she's been saying for years. She said there was an instance where she was in a crowd, Pharrell was on the stage, and he like did a head nod and acknowledged her. And she kind of had to do a head nod back because everybody looked at her. Like, she not going to be like, nah, fuck out of here, nigga. Give me my shit.
That's kind of, that's what I would, to my understanding, that's abuse.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like,
it's kind of,
manipulative in a sense.
Her hands were behind her back in that moment, and he used that. You know?
Man. Maybe it's not Pharrell. Maybe it's Fred Joe Star doing all this.
He is the evil version of Pharrell. You're right. So, I mean, I don't know. I think Pharrell needs to fix it. I think Pharrell strikes me as a very non-confrontational person. So we're not going to hear about this. I think behind the scenes, though, he's probably trying to move some shit around. Yeah,
I just think that it sucks. Like, I know some people probably sick of me always saying, like, why does Diddy get such a bad rap? I just really just find it very, very interesting that, there are a lot of artists who are signed to people that you guys like that don't own their masters by someone, right? And everybody kind of like just like hones in on like one person, and I think that it happens a lot more in the music industry than you think. I just think that some artists actually read their contracts and understood what was going on and weren't blindsided by it. I do think that when you're a recording artist and you're gonna like sign your music, like we've seen it, like there's like movies. It's the TLC documentary. It's the Five Heartbeats movie. It's the Temptations movie. Like like the whole thing with Motown. Like we see all of these instances where this happens. When are like artists gonna start like being like, you know what? I'm about to sign this deal. I should get a lawyer. I'm pretty sure if I tell a lawyer like, hey, I'm about to sign a really big recording contract. I don't have the money now, but I'm going to be rich.
Right.
Could you please read this? I think it'll happen, and I think that like, however it happens, like they make it seem like, yo, if you don't sign right now, in an hour, this opportunity is gonna go away, and you won't get any of it. And I think that's fucked up. I think that like there should be like, you wanna know what's funny? I was about to say there should be classes for that, but there are classes for that. Every year at South by Southwest, I know everybody can't go to Austin, Texas. There are literally seminars for up and coming artists on what to do when they're signing their contracts, or like how to go about getting your music or owning your music or signing a publishing deal or what a publishing deal is.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard for people to say. It's a tough situation because yes, I get all of that, and a lot of that plays into financial literacy and stuff, and it's important. But it's one thing to think that and to have that in mind, but then it's another to like want to get out of a tough spot, and then you got your favorite artist in the world telling you like, "Yo, sign this shit, bro. We're about to make you a star." And that changes a lot of things. I mean, you got shit. You think about Scottie Pippen and him, coming from a household that had like 8 kids.
Yeah,
and
like eight families.
And his dad in a wheelchair, his brother in a wheelchair, like 2 wheelchairs in the house, and then he gets this golden opportunity to sign, and then he ends up with the shittiest contract on the biggest team in the fucking world. So it's like, shit does happen where you kind of just want to get out of jams, and so I can get both sides. Yeah,
desperation definitely makes you do things that you wouldn't do with a clear mind. But Pharrell's a bad person, or Fred Joe Star, if that's the case.
Yeah, we on the same page with that.
These are their stories.
Dun dun.